Hi everyone, I'm Julia and this is Julia at Home, and where I live right now it is winter and it is very cold. So of course I am dreaming of spring and summer and when I can start my garden and orchard here. This is our first year on this property, so really a lot of it is a blank canvas for me. There are a few things in place and a few things I need to clean up, but a lot of it is free for me to dream and plan for what I want, which is one of the things we actually really liked about this property, was it gave me the freedom to do that. So in this video, I'm just going to talk a little bit about my garden and orchard dreams, what I'm thinking about for our land. I'm not going to get into the very specifics of planning it, even though I have started planning. I'm going to save that for another video or possibly a whole series of videos, as it is quite a lengthy process. But today, let's just talk about dreaming and what I want. For my overall plan, I've known that I've wanted a veggie garden to grow vegetables, but also herbs, both culinary and medicinal. I would like a wide variety of medicinal herbs that I can use with my family, and fruit trees and some berry bushes, just a large variety of fruits and vegetables and herbs that we can use. I would like to learn to preserve them so that we're really more self-sustaining, and just, I love growing things, and then I can grow things that I can eat. I can't think of much better than that. So that's always been what my overall plan is. On this property, we are lucky enough that we already have 2 fruit trees, so with a little bit of cleaning up, we have a pear tree and a peach tree. I'm going to keep those, see if I can care for them. The peach tree is not in great health, but I'm gonna see what I can do for it, and I am going to plant another peach tree to help it out, because even the self-pollinating varieties can be helped by a friend to pollinate with, and also in case the first one doesn't make it, I'll have another one there growing already. And I found wild grapes on the property, so that wasn't even something I originally dreamed of, but it's certainly fun. I'm gonna try to trellis those, and then I'm gonna be doing some cleanup around the property that gives me room to put in some other things in the future and kind of play around with it. So my overall dream eventually is to have a large fenced-in garden in what I'm gonna call the front for right now. It's front and the back of the house, a little confusing, but when you drive in our driveway, there'll be a you'll go by our fenced-in garden, and then when you come around to, I guess what is it's kind of the front of the house, but it's towards the back on the other side from the road. There's already, the fruit trees are already there, so I'm going to be expanding on where the current fruit trees are, and out farther away from the house. Just over the years, the goal is to plant more trees, and also under the trees have a variety of other plants. So it might turn into a food forest. I'm not sure if it'll be strictly like a food forest. I think that's like means a specific thing right now, but that's part of my inspiration. So that's the overall plan, and now let me get into a little bit more detail on what I'm envisioning for each of those specific spaces. My inspiration for my garden is a potager, which is just a French word for a kitchen garden, but they tend to be beautifully designed and have flowers as well as vegetables and herbs. So that's my inspiration. The first step, however, is fencing it in. This was not something that I always wanted necessarily, a fence, but we do have groundhogs and we have a lot of rabbits. And while I don't mind sharing some of my food with wildlife, I would like to eat some, and I don't want my garden to be decimated. So I will be fencing it in and burying some chicken wire as part of the fencing, particularly to protect from the groundhogs, but also the rabbits. So that's step number 1. Then as far as the structure of the garden, I have drawn, I think, like 15 different plans, and I think I've finally settled on one. But it's going to include a fruit tree. I'm leaning towards a quince. It's going to include a medicinal herb wheel. which was originally inspired by medicine wheel, but it's not a medicine wheel because I'm not a Native American. I don't practice their religion, so it's inspired by that, and I might add some nod to specifically the Abenaki tribe on whose land we are living as part of that area. But it's a wheel with medicinal herbs, and there'll be medicinal herbs around it too in that section of the garden. I also would like to plant an elderberry tree. I love elderberries. Technically, it's an elder tree. I love elderberries. I've never had elder flowers, but I've heard wonderful things. You will notice in my plans that there will be several elder plants around. There's something that I just feel really connected to. So I definitely wanted one in my garden. I'm also making sure there's places for the kids. So there will be beds that are specifically for the children's gardens. Like each child, I'm assigning a bed for them to plant what they want. My daughter's really excited and is planning out what she wants to grow. And my son is probably mostly going to dig, but that's okay because he has his own place to do that. I'm also adding some fun, whimsical elements for them and myself to play in. So there will be a bean teepee. I'm including an archway where things will be growing down that we can pick and also run through. So I'm trying to make it beautiful and fun as well as useful because we'll be able to grow much of our own food. And I think it will be a really fun place for all of us to be. So for the orchard, I decided to start it where the two fruit trees already are. There is some room around them, and our solar canopy is also in that area. For those of you who don't know, solar canopy, it's kind of a new thing. It's solar panels on top of basically a canopy or I guess a pergola. So it's also, we're going to use it as outdoor seating space with maybe a little table and a little like couch set, outdoor couch set where we could do our schoolwork and just enjoy our orchard in nature. And I am aware that I don't want trees blocking that, so I'm planning that while I am designing the orchard. But that whole area, the plan is to turn it into a permaculture orchard or food forest. I don't know if either of those terms exactly describes what I'm thinking, but the idea is it's not going to look like a commercial orchard. I want it to be more meandering and wild and have lots of understory plants, definitely including pollinator plants, including aromatics, including nutrient grasping, that's not the right word, plants that draw up nutrients, such as comfrey, which you can then cut and use as living mulch. So all things like that. And then, you know, there's some herbs that are great, aromatics and pollinator plants as well. So there may be other things that we can eat within there as well. I may incorporate some fruit and berry bushes. So it'll be really a beautiful place. And I'm starting with a few trees this year, and then the idea is in the future to expand to more trees and expand farther back. As we move farther back, there is actually a hanger pad. It's just a cement pad at this point. It used to be for a hanger for airplanes. And it's a little bit of a mess right now. There's pieces of wood on it, but I'm going to clear it out this spring, and there are grapes growing on bushes all around it and on the concrete actually. So I need to cut those back, find where they start, and my plan is, and my hope is, to create at the entrance between where the orchard will eventually expand to and where the hanger pad is, to create some trellises and an arched arbor where the grapes can grow and we can pick them, and then we can walk under the archway to get to the hanger. I think that will just be a beautiful addition. I think it'll be beautiful and fun. So I'm hoping to get that done this year, and then we can, I don't know if we want to try making wine or what. We can certainly eat the grapes. I do plan on planting berry bushes. throughout the property in different areas. I have a couple different ideas. We do already have raspberries growing. They're a little crazy. I cleared a bunch out from a walking area, from the area where you walk off our breezeway last summer. That area needs some more cleaning up, and eventually there may not be raspberries there. There may eventually be gooseberries there, but that's a longer term or several years prospect. And there's another patch in front of our deck that I'm leaving for the foreseeable future, but it definitely needs to be cleaned up. But I do want to plant blueberry bushes. We love blueberries, and I want to have plenty of blueberries for us to eat and to make jam and to freeze. I love making blueberry pancakes, so to have frozen blueberries that I can make pancakes with during the winter would be fantastic. So I have picked a specific spot that actually used to be a garden. I don't know if it was from the last people who lived there or the person before, but in between our basketball court and our fire pit, not far from our orchard, I'm creating the berry patch. And so we're just going to start this year with 12 blueberry bushes. And I said that's a lot of blueberry bushes, but let me tell you, my children eat a lot of blueberries. And I say just also because I'm just starting with blueberries in that area. They do need some special additions to their soil. So they just need a little bit more attention. In the future, I might add maybe some trellised raspberries or blackberries behind, maybe a raised bed of strawberries, maybe some more fruit trees behind. That would be great for the future. We're just going to start with the blueberries though. So that's what I'm calling my berry patch. I also eventually want to incorporate blackberries and honeyberries for sure, and I'm sure there's other ones I will find I don't even maybe know about yet. But for right now, that is the berry patch. The fire pit. So I didn't mention it before, but I did. It wasn't a deal breaker in any sort of land or property, but it was like a bonus if we have room for a fire pit. I absolutely love sitting out like on a summer evening with a fire going and talking, and the kids love roasting marshmallows. Who doesn't? So we do have a fire pit area. Right now it's kind of a fire pit area on one side and kind of a grill with a chimney on the other. And for right now I'm leaving that, so we're using it where it is. And in the future I may end up taking down the grill part and just making it a bigger circle, because I do really like to be able to sit in a circle and see and talk to everyone, which you can't really do as it is now because you can't see each other. You can kind of do a half circle though. So we'll see what happens in the future. For this year, I'm going to be mowing really close to the ground around the fire pit. We may add some more dirt or pea stones or something there, or just around the pit, because right now there's grass growing really high around it, which is not the safest thing. But moving forward, I envision actually doing a crescent-shaped bed towards the back of around the edge of the fire pit. So if you picture it, there'd be a fire pit and then a circle around that, where maybe I'll put flagstones with maybe something like moss or creeping thyme growing in between the flagstones. And then outside that circle, that's where the chairs and everything would be. Outside that circle, part of it would be a crescent moon-shaped garden bed where we would have a moon garden. So this might include, I for some reason really like the idea of doing rows near the fire pit. It seems like a good fit there. So there is a Rosa rugosa, which is the native rose that comes in white. So I might do that. That would show up really well in the moonlight. And then I was looking up some other ideas for moon garden plants, silvery white flowers, some night aromatics. So that's the eventual plan for that. Again, that's dreaming for a couple years down the road, not this year, but nonetheless part of the dream. So of course the next step is planning all this, which I have started, but that is a subject for another video or several. What are you dreaming about on cold winter days? Are you also dreaming of a garden and maybe an orchard? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more on homeschool, on gardening, on motherhood, and baby and pregnancy updates. Talk to you later.